Koinu continues its march toward Taiwan. Latest on still potentially destructive Typhoon Koinu, Philippine named Jenny, a Category 3 still at this point, 21.5 north, 124.9 degrees east. An unexpected jog towards the north in the last few hours could change its prospects. So here it is with winds of 115 miles per hour. That means it's weakened slightly since the last update, which is good news, and a pressure of 951 millibars as of 5 p.m. local time in Taipei, October 3rd. Moving north-northwest at the minute at 7 miles per hour, that's 11 kilometers per hour right now, but we expect that westerly motion will continue again pretty shortly. Here it is located on the map with a quite expansive wind field that's evened itself out, almost symmetrical, it's getting there, and that's obviously displaying its position too, getting quite close to some of those land areas and not forgetting some of the southern islands of WQs. It's just 324 kilometers from Basco, 325 from Ishigaki, 326 from Itbayat, 488 from Kaohsiung City and 521 from Taipei. Typhoon warnings are now in effect for southern and eastern Taiwan, extending up to Hualien County, and we also have Signal 2 warnings in effect for the Batanes Islands in the Philippines and Signal 1 warnings further south. Now, I've not checked the warnings in Japan, but I expect that they'll have gale warnings probably in effect there for those southern Ryukyu Islands as well. So the primary hazard is still obviously flash flooding and excessive rainfall, large amounts over the northernmost Philippine Islands and Taiwan. The current track forecast calls for the storm to move slowly across southern Taiwan later this week, resulting in torrential rainfall in the eastern mountains, which could reach 750 millimeters. On top of any that may have already fallen. I'm not sure if any has yet, but that's the latest projection from this point forward. Looking at the forecast then, with its wind field, you can see it will obviously swipe right through the whole of Taiwan and then the coast of China as well later on in the week. And this is the GFS ensemble mean. The forecast from the JTWC and others take it a little bit further north, which would directly impact Hong Kong probably and the coast of China, but this forecast takes it just a slight bit further south as we get towards the start of next week. It dissipates by Monday by the looks of things. Sustained winds then, pretty clear cut, 115 miles per hour, supported by almost everything actually. Satellite estimates, JTWC, JMA still slightly higher actually, and Pegasa quite a bit lower. But certainly still a powerful storm, Category 3 at this point, but it has weakened a little bit since the last update. Well, here's the JTWC forecast cone, and they expect further weakening before landfall. They actually expect a Category 1 landfall at this point, and then for the storm to weaken to tropical storm status before reaching the coast of China just east of Hong Kong, which they expect will get tropical storm force winds by the 8th, which is 5 days away. Well, there's the forecast from the GFS parent model, taking it into land, probably stronger than a Category 1 looking at that, and then it starts to shimmy towards the southwest there and gets dissolved by the looks of things over the South China Sea. Interesting forecast there. Of course, the JWC has it piling further into China before it does anything like that. Once again, some strong winds all over that gulf between Taiwan and China as well as the coast of Taiwan. So they'll obviously get some very powerful winds. For the Philippines, it's more towards the rain really, but they'll obviously get some strong winds on the Batanes Islands. The southern side of the storm looks like it's going to be the strongest as we look at the radar reflectivity simulation there. And that will switch to the western side of the storm after it passes Taiwan, and then probably the northern side in its later stages if it tracks near land over China. So an evolving situation there. It might get a little bit better in appearance before it reaches Taiwan on the GFS model. I think that's a little bit optimistic actually, with the other forecasts, the agencies going for a gradual weakening trend. And by the end of the week, just about see its remnants near Hainan. Looking at the expected rainfall accumulations then, they're still going to be rather severe, and some locations offshore, that could possibly trickle towards the southern islands of Taiwan or the Batanes Islands could get close to 30 inches, which is 750 millimeters. Over the mountains of Taiwan, we're still looking at substantial amounts there as well, in excess of 20 inches. That is 500 millimeters, and further south maybe slightly less, but still significant amounts all across that eastern seaboard of Taiwan. Taipei probably getting close to 10 inches as well, 250 millimeters, which is still quite substantial, and for the western coast of Luzon, 2 to 3 inches there too. Looking at sea surface temperatures, they're fairly warm still at this point, 28 to 29 degrees quite easily, probably pushing 30 near Taiwan and also in a few spots in the South China Sea if it goes there. In the channel between Taiwan and China is slightly less, but still looking quite comfortably at 27 degrees Celsius and maybe a tad higher, so sea surface temperatures aren't going to be an issue for the storm. What is an issue, more than that, the main issue for the storm when it does move forward will be its land interaction, and that will be something that kills it off quite quickly. Taiwan does have that effect on storms. It can knock a storm down one or more categories. As we look at the satellite imagery then visible, the eye isn't as clear as it was yesterday at this point, nowhere near as a matter of fact. So it is all starting to, I don't know whether it's breaking apart a little bit, but it's certainly relapsed a little bit there, and you can see it's all quite clustered and no real strength in that eye wall at the minute from a scientific perspective. You can take a look at all of that imagery on the Force 13 website, force13.com/satellite. Some decent cloud tops still, quite a few of them, but it would appear that that eye is open at this point, and whether it manages to close it off again later on, well, that's still a question mark. Fragmented is the operative word right now. That's the word I was looking for. The western side particularly looking a little bit disheveled on that last image. And here's some quick radar showing you how the storm's been appearing entering the Taiwan area now. It is still going to be a really substantial storm with big rainfall impacts.